Good morning. It is time for SEC baseball reaction. We are going to talk about SEC baseball games from Friday night. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Alfred Ezman, representing the Rays. I'm representing the Braves. Graham, who are you representing today?
The
Maybe get a hat.
basketball podcast that I have later. So I got a suit and tie today, fellas.
Yeah, we're dressed for the occasion, unlike us. I'm heading straight from here to the baseball diamond. My son's got a practice, and we're going to start it by clearing the field of leaves. Who doesn't like clearing the field of leaves when it's 28 and damp? That's what we're signing up for today. So anyway, that's where I'm going as soon as we're done with this. But we got plenty of baseball, all 16 teams in action. Georgia played a doubleheader. Alfred, I think you watched more than any of us. We've got notes on all 16 teams. But tell me what caught your eye the most yesterday.
Well, Liam Doyle again. That's pretty much, I think, the big thing that stood out to me. This guy, if he continues this for a few more games, I think we could start to consider it ace territory for Liam Doyle. I mean, I know the competition's been suspect for Tennessee up until this point. That's going to change soon when they head to Houston next weekend and play some good teams. But man, I mean, once again, just the strikeout numbers were off the chart. He hit 99 again, guys. So, you know, for guy, I know Graham, you were telling me you couldn't believe he was hitting 99, and he did it again yesterday. So this guy is on a mission right now, to say the least. I mean, 14 strikeouts in 5 in the third. I guess other things about that Tennessee game, it was the first Tennessee game that went to 9 innings. So Tennessee fans, you got 9 innings of baseball for the first time this year. Congrats for that. And then, I mean, obviously you had more home runs from that team. Reese Chapman had one, and then Cannon Peebles had one. Cannon Peebles, to me, you could get that bat woken up. That's really going to make Tennessee that much better, which is a scary thought. So that's the big thing to me was Liam Doyle. He was on fire again, and just a joy to watch.
Yeah, Tony Vitello said it was weird to play 9 innings. That's what he termed it, which they had not played 9 innings all year. That didn't used to be a thing until a couple of years ago. They didn't run rule teams after 7. I think it's a good idea. Yeah. We get a hottie toddy and a good morning from Jerry Moore from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Clint says good morning from rainy and cold South Texas. Gig'em. Aggies won. We'll get to them a little later. Graham, what caught your eye on Friday Night Baseball in the SEC?
All right, I'll kind of pinball. I got a few things that stood out to me. I'll start, since Jerry's in the great state of Mississippi. Let's start with the Mississippi schools. Mississippi State watched some of this game, second game in a row where offensively they just didn't do much of anything, guys. They were trailing pretty much the whole game, and then they just kind of did all of their damage in the 8th. They beat Missouri State 3-1, only 4 hits. They scored all runs in the 8th inning. Bright spot, Lucas Buckner, true freshman, his first start of the season. The middle infield position's kind of up for grabs at Mississippi State, second base, shortstop. Could this be one of the players that creates separation and earns that starting spot? Buckner went 2 for 4. Noah Sullivan, one of their new guys, the USC upstate transfer. He had the big clutch double in the 8th inning to break the tie. For State, Pico Kuhn still continues to look good. 6 1/3, career high 11 strikeouts through 86 pitches, 59 strikes. I thought he looked really good. But for Mississippi State, this is 2 games in a row now. Offense really isn't there. Is that just baseball? Is this a trend? We'll have to wait and see. It was cold, though. Feels like pretty much everywhere in the state of Mississippi. Ole Miss, Hunter Elliott, his first game back in Swayze Field. I thought he was sensational. 6 innings, 3 hits. Career high, 10 strikeouts. Only threw 78 pitches, 57 went for strikes. I thought Elliott looked fantastic. It seems like Ole Miss is starting to find one of their go-to guys out of the bullpen, and Mason Morris. He had 3 innings in relief, only gave up 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. He's got the most appearances and innings pitched of anybody on the Ole Miss roster. Luke Hill continues to hit as well. 2 more hits yesterday. He leads Ole Miss in hits this season, also stole 2 bases. Campbell Smithwick had a good day. I guess for me, the big takeaway yesterday was Arkansas, their first game in the tournament. They play a decent Kansas State team, but just again, offensively, just wasn't really there and just missed opportunities for the Razorbacks. They struck out 11 times and they only drew 2 walks, 1 through 9 in their lineup, but just missed opportunities. They had their chances, but they're going to look back at that and just be frustrated. I wrote it down. They went 1 of 14 at the plate with runners on base yesterday.
Ouch.
1 of 14. And they're like, it's just a frustrating day. The Aloy brothers, they continue to play well. They each hit a home run. And then Gavin Grahovac, just kind of inconsistent yesterday from him. 99 pitches, 5 2/3, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, there were a couple of box scores that I did a double take on. In fact, I'm still going to look at this one just to make sure I got it right. But one of them was Arkansas. Arkansas pitching only struck out 3 guys yesterday. That was not something I expected. I feel like, if you're below, 10, 12 strikeouts for Arkansas pitching, it's like, what in the world? What's going on here? The other strange box score, gentlemen, did you catch the Alabama line score?
Yeah, 3 hits, 9 runs.
Yeah.
9 runs on 3 hits. Now, I've seen some crazy stuff in college baseball. I don't think I've ever seen this. In my continuing crusade to move the season back a couple of weeks, I think that is example number 1. Alabama only scored 1 time off a base hit yesterday. Everything else was error, walk in, hit by pitch, sack fly, whatever. And look, I'm not demeaning Rob Vaughn's club and what it did. Coastal Carolina is a good program. And hey, Alabama on the other side of things took care of business with its pitching and its fielding. It didn't allow runs like that, and that's part of the game. But February baseball isn't always our best baseball. And Alabama takes 12 walks, got hit 3 times. Zane Adams also went 4 1/3 yesterday, struck out 6. So that was kind of a weird game. Since we've got an Aggie in the chat, we've got Sam Smith in the chat. Sam asked, do I think Tennessee makes the NCAA tournament? Spoiler alert, Sam, yes, I think it might get there. Let's see. Let's talk A&M. Pretty nice win, 6-1 win over Cal Poly. The Aggies got that last night. Ryan Prager threw 5 shutout innings. Wasn't dominating. Gavin Grahovac hit a home run. They beat Cal Poly 6-1. Again, SEC teams are not playing a schedule where it's going to line up with what you're going to see here in a couple of weeks. But Cal Poly is probably one of the better teams on the slate this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see what A&M's bullpen does the rest of the weekend. Some other games of note, I thought LSU. We talked about Nebraska-Omaha, a team that goes to NCAA tournaments every couple of years. Did you guys catch any of that game? LSU didn't really hit the ball much yesterday.
No, they didn't. Omaha kind of hung in there for a little bit. They had a big 2-run inning in the 6th that kind of, I think, made LSU fans a little tight, watching that game. But nonetheless, they get it done. I'm trying to think. I caught a little bit of it. Kade Anderson, I thought he had 8 strikeouts? I don't have a box score in front of me.
Yeah, he had 8.
That's what I thought, and that's what I thought I saw yesterday. You get good work out of him, you'll take it. Evans in the save was very nice with 5 strikeouts. I caught that portion of the game. Some days you're just going to have your pitching, explode. And I guess you could say that even about Tennessee a little bit yesterday. They only scored 5 runs, and a lot of it was leaned on by Liam Doyle, and the same thing with LSU here with Kade Anderson and Casan Evans. So, the hitting wasn't necessarily just everywhere. One guy who did good was Luis Hernandez. He had a great game. He threw someone down at second. Got a few hits in. I mean, he was someone that stood out to me a ton. That's probably going to go down as the Luis Hernandez game. But yeah, I mean, they lean on their pitching that game, and they'll take it either way.
Thanks for the super chat, Clint. We really always appreciate those. Anytime you give us a super chat, we will read your comment so long as it's 100% appropriate. Occasionally we get some super chats that are not appropriate to be read on the air, but 99% of the time we're good. So just covering myself there. Yeah, I don't think A&M has really kicked it into stride yet, which it will sooner or later. But LSU, I continue to think LSU might be the most talented team in the country. I know A&M's got talent. Tennessee's got talent. Those are teams that are put right up there in that discussion. Arkansas would be probably in that general grouping too. But, hey, Casan Evans closing for them really stands out for me. I mean, they've got a ton of veteran arms who've thrown before.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how Zach Cowan hadn't even gotten used to a midweek. And seeing him close when they've got guys like Jacob Mayers, DJ Primo, Cade Woods, Chandler Dorsey, Connor Benge that have played college ball before, closing a freshman in that spot. And that wasn't one of those, 3-inning saves where they ended up winning by 13 runs. That was a nail biter. So that to me kind of stood out.
Yeah, I watched a good bit of this game, and just touching on the weather, you could tell that it was pretty cold in Baton Rouge. There was a ton of crowd shots in this game. I feel like that's like all they were doing. You allude to Casan Evans. I thought he was great. He was a big-time two-way recruit coming out of high school. His dad was his high school coach, so he's kind of been around the game a lot. His dad played in the Kansas City farm system, but he's only going to pitch at LSU because of kind of what they did with Paul Skeens, and why not? When you see what they did with Paul Skeens,
yeah.
I think a lot of people forget Skeens was like a really good two-way player at Air Force. Like, he could really swing it too. But Evans yesterday, 2 innings, struck out 5, only walked 1. He was in control in the cold weather and everything. 34 pitches, 24 strikes. So if he at his young age turns out to kind of be the guy on the back end of the bullpen, I mean, that's a really good sign for LSU. And then also their true freshman Derek Curiel. Man, if he hits as a true freshman, he had 2 hits and a double yesterday, and he already leads LSU in 9 hits this season. If that guy continues to play at this, that's just another weapon for them.
Yeah, he's the guy that I was hearing getting some love as a preseason national freshman of the year. I think D1 might have made him theirs. He's a center fielder out of California. I think he only hit 310 in high school last year, which is really weird. He might hit better than that at LSU this year. But, that outfield is kind of the place I'm watching with Jake Brown and a bunch of parts. I mean, they've got a lot of guys that have played before and are talented, but that's like Chris Stanfield's been manning center for them and doing a pretty good job. That's probably the one area for LSU that I'm really watching is I'm not saying just even on the quality, just like how does it play out? They've got probably 6 or 7 guys who could end up with jobs there. So that was interesting. Speaking of Paul Skeens, let's talk about the pitching coach who developed him, Wes Johnson. Pretty good day for the Bulldogs, who were the only 2-win team in the SEC yesterday. Georgia swept a doubleheader with Illinois Chicago, and I believe he's got 2 more games coming. Don't know if you guys caught that. The hitting was just kind of spread around, so no one person to single out. But I think the headliner for me, Leighton Finley throwing 5 shutout innings in game 2. This is the team that's probably got 15 to 20 arms it can legitimately throw in games. But when you start getting 5-inning starts from Leighton Finley, who is, I think, one of the better starting pitchers in this league, guys. I don't know if either of you got to see it, but that popped off the box score to me.
The thing that popped off for me, the 9-3 when they had Slade Alford went 4 for 4 in that game. If Slade Alford does that, I think Georgia beats pretty much anybody. I mean, that's really the thing that stood out to me. And then you had Zach Brown. I don't know if you guys, this is the part of the Georgia I saw yesterday. Zach Brown out of the bullpen was very good. I think he had 7 strikeouts and 4 innings. So I know he gave up the earned run, but he got credited with the win. And I'm impressed with that. And that's Georgia's pitching depth. We talked about with Anthony and just in general, we've talked about this whole time. So yeah, really good day for Georgia. I think we thought this game again, or these games against UIC might have been a little tight, just because they're one of those mid-majors, but Georgia did not make it seem that way. And they did a great job all day. And like I said, Slade Alford really stood out to me with his incredible day. And then Zach Brown was just a pitcher I just have not had on my radar with them, who really went off yesterday.
Well, what a difference just an outing makes. So he's an Ohio State transfer. His first outing of the season, guys, he gave up 6 earned runs in a third of an inning. So that was last weekend. And then yesterday he goes 4 innings with the 7 strikeouts on 56 pitches. So bounce back performance by him. One thing, one question I got for Georgia. So Charlie Goldstein, 2 starts, 1 inning in each start. Like do we know what's going on there? Like he has a run.
Something almost is always going on. He's a class of 2019 high school kid who's just never been able to stay healthy. So I think he's, probably more of an opener for them at this stage, maybe moving towards a starter, but that's probably just let's try to keep Charlie Goldstein involved and see if he moves. Because, he's one of these, he's like, you get some pitchers in the majors, Jacob deGrom being one, like when he's on the mound, he's electric, but how often is he on the mound? Obviously, Charlie Goldstein is not Jacob deGrom, but the health principle applies. Like, they're going to very much limit what he does. And, he was in the rotation last year. He only threw 36 innings. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to get more of that. But, Goldstein's a really good lefty in this league. He's not really he's not a dominating guy. He's more of I think, not walk people and maybe get a few ground balls. But, yeah, I think that's what's going on there because Goldstein's had health issues as long as I can remember following him. So, Sam in the chat, speaking of pitching, got a scoop for us. Says A.J. Russell next week. Hit 93 Thursday, was not going max velo. Tennessee's had a little bit of a history of getting guys back early. Who's the kid with the Mets that started the season hurt a couple years ago? Didn't know if they're going to have him. They got him back in April. Was a second-round draft pick. I'll know the name if you say it.
Position player?
No, pitcher.
Pitcher. I was thinking Drew Gilbert. I'm like, that can't be it.
No, Blake Tidwell. Thank you, Sam. That's the guy I'm thinking. They got Tidwell back early a couple years ago. We'll see if that's the same thing with Russell. Because I would have thought Russell was their best arm coming into the year. Now, Liam Doyle may be about to blow that conversation out of the water with the number of guys he's striking out and the efficiency with which he's doing it. But, boy, if they get Russell back 100%, that goes to the short list of top starting rotations in the conference, if not in the country. Okay, let's see what I've got next on the list. I've got let's see. Let's talk Vandy. Vandy wins 11-4 over St. Mary's. A nice ball game for the Commodores. St. Mary's is a pretty good team. Has scored a ton of runs, and it's a program that's put I think Corbin Burns and some other people in the majors. So that is they're a little bit different look when you play those guys because it's going to be small ball and put the ball in play and won't necessarily be gorilla ball. They're going to make you field your position early in the year, which, not always fun to do when it's 29 degrees. But anyway, I think that the thing for Vanderbilt, and if you're not looking for it, the box score doesn't mean much to you. Well, first of all, the things that were meaningful in the box score, Vastine hit a 3-run homer for them, and R.J. Austin hit 2 triples. R.J. Austin hits the shortest triples known to man. Have you seen some of the stuff he's done this year, guys?
He's so fast. He's I don't know how no one can catch him. He's unbelievable.
I think 2 of his triples didn't go 225 feet, but there's that. But I think the thing. Brody Johnston, who is another potential national freshman of the year type guy, finally hit for them yesterday. It was a pinch hitting appearance, and that was it. Tim Corbin yesterday said he and the kid from James Madison, Mike Mancini, who's going to play second, either him or Jaden Davis. The loser may DH. Mancini hit 15 bombs for JMU last year, hit 4 in the Raleigh Regional in one day alone. He pinch hit and played the field. I think the playing the field part, pretty notable to me. Both those guys had hand injuries. So if they get those guys back, I would think that both of them will be everyday guys for them. I don't know what their lineup looks like going forward. I had Rustin Rigdon and Riley Nelson are kids that I'm not sure would have started opening day. If those guys were available, Jacob Humphrey and other, that might be their 3 best hitters right now, those guys. So that's kind of notable. I'm interested to see where Vanderbilt's lineup goes from here because they've got a lot more pieces back. Let's go to Gainesville. Either of you guys get eyes on the Gators yesterday?
Oh, Chris, is the sky blue?
Very nice.
Well
It's
played,
yours,
right?
my man.
Yeah, I got eyes on them, and that was pretty impressive, what they did. I think it kind of flew under the radar a little bit. Liam Peterson, not necessarily like crazy dominant like his first start, but well enough, right? I mean, well enough to put them in a position to win. Just 2 hits. He kept runs off the board, which in the end, that's what you got to do when you're pitching. So shout out to him for that. Bobby Boser has some power, guys. I don't know if you caught his home run, but he went opposite field, and a few of those guys on that team can do that. So Kevin O'Sullivan's got to be happy with that kind of power he's getting out of him. Boser's also had a pretty good last few games. So that's been a good transfer addition for them out of South Florida. Other stuff, Cade Curlin had some knocks in there. I know Blake Sear had a RBI double that brought in Curlin. Just impressive hitting across the board, I think, from this Florida team, really. Yeah, I mean, a bunch of people in this game got hits, 10 hits as a team. Brendan Lawson, a guy who flies under the radar on their roster, had multiple hits in that game. Who else? I think Sear had multiple hits. Hayden Yost, he's been a great addition back from an injury. I think that team, I think Florida's a lot better when he's out there too. So, yeah, all around pretty good game for the Gators. Again, you didn't get some dominant stuff out of Liam Peterson, but you didn't need it. And honestly, Liam Peterson did pretty good, all things considered, keeping runs off the board. So another impressive win for this team. Again, the schedule, I think they've had the advantage with their schedule a little bit, but they'll get tested soon. I think they play Florida State in the foreseeable future. So that's going to be a great, great game. Yeah. I have nothing but good things to say about this Florida team right now. I know they may not be, A&M, Tennessee, Arkansas, but they're either right there or like right a tick below them. So great stuff from Kevin O'Sullivan to start the year.
Yeah, my main takeaway, a lot of their younger guys got action yesterday. They threw 3 true freshmen out of the bullpen. You touched on Brendan Lawson, Alfred. He was a shortstop, a big-time shortstop coming out of Canada in high school. They got him playing first base. What does that look like, moving forward? And then also, Chris, we've touched on their stolen bases. They got 5 more yesterday, so they got 21 this season.
Yeah. Wow, that's more than they had all last year. Well, here's the other thing that's interesting with them. They've only thrown 11 guys. I'm going to guess that's maybe an SEC low or close to it. And their starters have gone 27 of their 41 innings so far. So
you'll take that.
We'll take that. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see what else we got left. Oh, I can't believe I haven't gotten Oklahoma yet. Oklahoma, one of the few teams in the league to get a win over a Power 5 club yesterday, beating Minnesota. A program that's kind of off and on. It puts some guys in the bigs like Max Meyer. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that, but Casan Witherspoon goes, 7 1/3, which I would guess.
Carries.
Yeah. 12. I think that's the longest outing in the league so far. I didn't get eyes on that. Don't know if you guys did, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma's pitching, it just shows how valuable it is, right? I mean, even when this lineup isn't up to par, you get something like that at Casan Witherspoon, you're beating pretty much anybody, not just Minnesota, a lot of teams. So that's the takeaway I had. And then the bullpen did well, beyond him too. So that's the takeaway I had. That's what makes this team pretty impressive is their pitching, I think, is very well on par with the rest of the league.
Kind of a weird game. Just kind of saw highlights of it, but they scored the go-ahead and run on a balk, and then they just end up winning 3-2. So you don't really see that happening a lot. But yeah, for Oklahoma, the storyline in this game is Casan Witherspoon. 90 pitches, 66 strikes, pretty consistently in the high 90s. He was lights out yesterday.
Yeah, did they get their midweek weathered out? I think they did. Yeah, they did. So they've only played 4 games, but they're 4-0. So yeah, good start for them. Who have we not talked about? Let me check the list. We have got. Go ahead.
Texas.
Yeah. Let's get Tech. That was another weird one.
Mm-hmm. Very weird. Yeah, I think you didn't really. I think you expected Texas to just explode past Dartmouth, based off the last weekend they had and stuff. And they were also a team that got weathered out in their midweek, so they had like a weird rest, thrown in there. Schussler with a great game hitting the ball. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but I think it's Schussler or something like that.
It.
Yeah, 3 hits for him. He was really like pretty much all their offense. I know Tommy Farmer also had a good game hitting. Kind of similar to Liam Peterson a little bit with Jared Spencer. It wasn't anything crazy dominant, but it was enough. He did allow a run, but besides that, he was fine. Thomas Burns had a really good save. That really impressed me, especially with Dartmouth knocking on the door, like they were. He was calm and cool under pressure. He was the player of the game for Texas, and I didn't catch anything Jim Schlossnagle said after the game, but I'm sure he would say similar stuff to that.
Well, what's fascinating with him is, so Arizona State transfer as Texas, they got a lot of transfers, especially arms. He's one of them. He was a starter at Arizona State. And so is this going to be his role for the Longhorns? Is he going to be, their closer, hitting in 2/3 yesterday, 2 strikeouts, got the save. So be fascinated to keep an eye on that. It seems like, to us at least, the question for Texas is pitching. What does it look like? Obviously brand new head coach, pitching coach, all that. And it just seems like they got a lot of options and they're trying to figure out who they like in certain roles.
Yeah, Ruger Riojas blew their only loss so far. That was in the opener, and they used him as kind of a middle innings guy, bridge guy to get to Burns yesterday. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if that means anything, because he's a guy that threw almost 70 innings at where was he, Texas Arlington last year, or UTSA, I think was what it was, now that I think about it. Yeah, anyway, wherever he threw, he threw a lot of innings. And so he's one of those, you've seen it with Nate Snead at Tennessee last year. You saw it with Kevin Kopps at Arkansas. He's one of those guys who can either go in game or, basically give you almost a start or a start light. And so that's what they did yesterday. They used him in that role and then went to Burns at the end. So keep an eye on that. I mean, and that's just modern day bullpens. Mm-hmm. Some days your use just varies, which is smart baseball. But yeah, that kind of caught my eye too. Who've we got left? We got, I'll tell you what, my backyard, we got Kentucky taking a 2-1 win over Belmont at Rose Park, which is a great venue to watch baseball if you've ever been there. It's about, you could go today if one wanted, you could catch Vanderbilt and Kentucky, and probably if you wanted to, walk from one park to the other. In fact, you could. They're playing really close to each other. Nick McKay got a 2-1 win yesterday. He's their starting pitcher. I guess they've had, 3 games this year. He started 2 of them. He's the North Dakota State transfer, class of 2018 kid. So he did his thing. North Dakota, thank you. Did his thing again. 2-1 game. Maybe not a lot of to talk about here. If you guys have something, go for it.
Pretty boring game. 3 hits each. Yeah, it's like just a baseball game. Emphasis on baseball. I didn't catch a lot of it, and I feel kind of bad because all dang week we were like, oh, we haven't gotten any Kentucky, and I'm like, yeah, probably should watch them, and just did not watch them. So apologies to Kentucky, but yeah, that's just what sticks out to me is Nick McKay. I mean, you get a deep start like that, that's going to go pretty well for you. Jackson Novy had 6 strikeouts in 2 innings too. That's pretty good. You'll take that if you're Kentucky as well. So this was a pitching game, and for Kentucky, you'll really take that, especially when your offense isn't just on fire like it wasn't yesterday.
Yeah, offensively, they really only got one guy that's off to a good start. That's Cole Hage. He had another good day offensively, had a double. Again, just wanting to see more from Kentucky. Again, they played the least amount of games in the league. Offensively, they just need to find answers. Pitching-wise, they have been good. Novy, 11 strikeouts in his 5 innings in relief. And then Simon Gregerson, their Indiana State transfer, he picked up his first save at Kentucky yesterday. Thought he looked good in his limited outing. But again, just kind of want to see more from Kentucky, and hopefully, we'll be able to see more this weekend from them.
Yeah, good to see the Cats out on the field. They had played the least baseball of any team in the league coming into the weekend. Okay, we talked about Auburn last week. They were a story for a different reason. I said I just kind of throw out Auburn's first weekend potentially, just because of all the emotional drama when one of your key players loses his mom, on a game day. Auburn rebounded with they rebounded twice already. They beat Troy midweek, which was ranked, and now an 11-0 shutout of Wright State. I don't know what Wright State's got this year, but the Raiders usually a pretty good ball club, year in and year out, a 4, maybe a 3 in a regional most years. So there's that. I think the big thing that stood out to me, guys, Sam Dutton, who was a reliever at LSU last year, went 5 2/3, scoreless, 7 strikeouts. And then Bub Terrell, who's one of their probably 2 or 3 best offensive recruits this year. We talked to Butch Thompson. He hinted maybe he was a little bit behind some of the other guys. He got a home run yesterday. I think Auburn had one of the more impressive wins yesterday with an 11-0 shutout of Wright State.
Yeah, they got off to a fast start, and they just did not look back. And I think that's what sent Wright State into shock was, by the time the second inning rolls around and Cooper McMurray hits, another RBI single to center field, they're up 6-0, and it's just kind of like, oh well, this game is blown out of proportion and stuff. So yeah, very impressive day. He was kind of the one man show. I know a lot of other people got ribbies in this game. Ike Irish, I think, got one. Snow went in and got one. Chris Rembert, who's, I'd say, with Bub Terrell, one of their other really good offensive freshmen, got a ribby knock as well. So great game for Auburn. And really, I mean, they just, went crazy early and did not look back.
Yeah, they did look really good, especially offensively. 14 hits. Everybody in the lineup had at least one. Cooper McMurray, Kate Ballou continue to play at a high level. They got the most hits for Auburn this season. And as Chris said, Samuel Dutton looked really good in his start yesterday.
All right, our man Alfred is basically a beat guy on 3 beats. We got Tennessee, we got Florida, and now we got South Carolina, because I feel like you stalked them all fall too. Mm-hmm. Not a great day for Carolina yesterday. I did get eyes on that a little bit. Tyler Pitts are pretty good. Carolina really scuffling offensively early, but was good enough for a 5-2 win yesterday, Alfred.
Yeah, and that's how I think most of their games have gone this year so far. I think they've just been they haven't been anything crazy against some of these mid-major teams, and thus far it's worked out for the better. I mean, you have Dylan Eskew, who has just a very short start. Tyler Pitzer comes in and he just crams strikeouts down Milwaukee's throat like crazy, and that really set the tone for the game. Brendan Sweeney comes in for the save. Offensively, though, I mean, you're right, just not a whole lot there so far. Again, it's been good enough to win, but you get a sac fly from Naraki. Jay Swoy to come in and he delivered a big home run there to really kind of just blow this game open, and the pitching kind of did the rest for them. So, again, not the start. You want to get better starts out of Dylan Eskew than what they got, I feel like. But if you have a guy like Pitzer who comes in and just shuts things down right after that, you'll take it. So as kind of mundane as a start as it's been for the Gamecocks, they are 6-0. So you can't complain too much about that. But I think it's really come down to just pitching and just the one big hit they have in these games that set them over the edge.
Yeah, that big hit yesterday was that grand slam in the 6th inning by Voida, who, that ended up being the difference. To me, just some of the newcomers for South Carolina are the ones that are getting the job done. One of those, Brendan Sweeney, their JUCO transfer, already has 3 saves this season. So kind of feels like that's going to be their guy on the back end to try to shut the door on opposing teams.
Let's see. The last one that we have not talked about, I think, would be Missouri, which is having a tough week. Scraped by Florida A&M yesterday, I think. Mm-hmm. They're playing in the Andre Dawson Classic. Bullpen got the job done after a pretty bad game against UCF midweek. Yeah. I think if Missouri can get 2 more wins, that they'll come out of this weekend, I think, feeling okay. I think the big thing yesterday, the bullpen, we're a little worried about their pitching depth, got the job done. So that was my big takeaway. What did you guys see there?
That's my whole thing with them. That UCF game was not pretty, like, whatsoever. And I know that's kind of tough. I mean, you're in Orlando in a midweek. You're kind of like the only game that night. But I mean, you kind of felt like coming into this weekend, you needed some wins in Vero Beach, and they got it. I mean, at this point with Missouri, I'm like, if you get something like this, you're gonna feel okay about it. Goldbeck was really good hitting for them. Kind of not a name that stuck out to me with them so far, but I think he had finally a pretty decent game. But again, with Missouri, I think you really want to kind of just get 3 wins this weekend as a whole. But I think you need to win more than you lose here in order to feel nice about yourselves going forward. Because if they fall way behind in non-conference play, guys, the SEC play will not be pretty for them at all.
No doubt about it. Yeah, they ended up winning only 6-5, but just missed opportunities yesterday for Missouri. They did have 11 hits, but they left 14 on base. They went 0 for 5 with the bases loaded. So you just have to cash in when you get your opportunities, and they just didn't do it. They also committed 3 errors. So again, you got to wonder like how much time have they spent outside being able to practice everything. And also they just opened the season in Puerto Rico and just feels like they've been all over the place.
Yeah.
All right, let me get to a couple comments in the chat. People wanting to know where Max Barr is and if he's the mini version of cousin Shane. Max is a basketball-only guy for us. Thank God he is picking up the slack where I would normally be heavily involved in basketball, and still am. But I'm taking a little bit of break right now to put a little more bandwidth on baseball. I will be back with our basketball coverage, and have been already. But Max and cousin Shane, both good dudes in their own right. Nowhere near the same person. So anyway, Wes says, how about the SEC aces overall yesterday? Some of the strikeout numbers SEC pitchers are putting up. I think that's my biggest storyline. It feels like everybody's got a guy or two that's given them 5-6 innings, shutout, 1-run, 2-run ball every week. And I didn't really expect that coming into the year. A lot of really good pitching.
To me, the 3 that have stood out, Liam Doyle, this is back-to-back starts for him with career-high strikeouts. Hunter Elliott, career-high strikeouts yesterday. And then Kyson Witherspoon, who was lights out, and he had a career-high in strikeouts. So, yes, everybody has a dude, but to me, those 3 have been awesome so far to start the season.
Yeah, we keep it up. We might struggle pitching our starting pitchers, first team guys, because they'll be like plenty. Well, we'll have plenty to choose from. It'll be hard narrowing it down, is what I mean. At this rate,
I didn't expect so many guys to go so long into games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how long do you think that's going to last?
Well, I don't know. On one hand, you build arms up to get them to go longer into games. On the other hand, that goes against the grain of what you're seeing in baseball. You're not seeing a lot of 7-8 inning starts at the major league level. You almost never see a complete game. And the hitting in this league, I mean, it's going to get 5 levels above what most of these teams are seeing. So I just don't know. I think though it's interesting to see arms getting stretched out further than I thought they would be this early of the year. Trying to think Austin Simmons, 94 with the fastball on Mrs. Quarterback.
Yeah, he was, but hurt his arm during the season last year, so he's shut down baseball. So he's quarterback 1 for Ole Miss this upcoming season. So once that came to be, he just kind of gave up baseball.
Okay, well that explains why I didn't have him. I was like, I missed something with Austin Simmons there, but I guess I didn't. So. Guys, any loose ends from Friday that we didn't talk about, and then let's kind of quickly preview Saturday.
I have one comment for all the Arkansas people watching. If you are watching, the league went 15-1 yesterday, so we could have went undefeated had Arkansas have won, but another day. I just wanted to get that Arkansas out there.
Pick it up. You're bringing the league down.
we have fun here, as Chris Lee says. We have fun here.
Yeah, I still think they're a really good team. They've also played a tougher schedule than a lot of teams so far. Let's pull up. How about you, Graham, before we go looking forward to today?
Yeah, want to see how Arkansas bounces back, and then Oklahoma. Those two to me, they're playing in those tournaments. This is a much bigger step level play wise, especially for Oklahoma. Remember, they opened up last weekend against Lehigh, so they started off the weekend on a positive note, and they're playing another Power Four team today. So I'm curious to see what those two look like, Arkansas and Oklahoma, playing in these tournaments.
Yeah, go ahead, Alfred.
For me, the other tournament team, I guess there's two of them, but for Alabama is the one I mean. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, Ohio State got their first win of the year against NC State. And when I saw that happen, I remembered NC State also lost to Liberty in a midweek. So to me, it's anyone's game in Jacksonville, and Alabama can go through the weekend unbeaten. That happens. I think we'll be moving them up the power rankings a little bit, or we'll be pressured to. And I think at the very least to move them up the power rankings. So that's what I'm looking for. If Alabama can get through this weekend unbeaten, it'll be really special for that team. And I think we'll be looking at Rob Vaughn's club a little differently.
Yeah, power rankings this time of the year are just about impossible. We've got, let's see, 4 games at first pitch at noon Central: Dartmouth and Texas, Wright State, Auburn, Omaha, LSU, Cal Poly, A&M. I think starting pitching is just what I'm watching there, especially to see what Auburn does today. Texas is a little short with Whitehead out, Grubbs in the bullpen. Don't know what they do. Anything to watch in those games?
Texas, I guess, offensively, they kind of separate themselves from Dartmouth a little more. I know that was kind of lacking yesterday when you had just 2 guys, really 1 guy, but 2 guys in general, hitting the ball well, and Farmer and Schussler. Maybe if you get Ballou and Gasparino to wake up a little bit, and it's like asking for it to rain on a cloudy day, it's probably going to happen. So that's what I'm looking for at least Texas.
Yeah, I want to see how they bounce back for sure. Just do they get on track offensively, and then who do they use? Arm wise out of the bullpen. Like, do they go to Saunier, the Ole Miss transfer? Like, is that going to be his role, or will he end up in the rotation at some point? So something to keep an eye on for sure.
At 1 Central, we've got 5 games: Milwaukee, South Carolina, St. Mary's, Vandy, Kentucky, Belmont, UIC, and Georgia, Samford, and Tennessee. I'll give you the one thing that stands out to me. St. Mary's a very good offensive club. I think Vanderbilt's going to Ethan McIlvain today, who did not have a good start out in Arizona. So that's kind of my thing to watch. I would also say South Carolina needs to pick up the offense a little bit too. You guys, take your turn with those, Alfred.
Yeah, I'll go South Carolina. Graham, I'm going to steal your thunder from a few shows we did ago, but Ethan Petrie, it may be a big knock or two from him. I think he has just 1 home run so far this year. If he can hit the long ball, maybe today, that's my bold prediction. It's an Ethan Petrie home run. So if he could do that, that'll be good for the Gamecocks. Tennessee, it seems kind of selfish, I guess, of me to ask for it, but more offense than they had yesterday. I know 5-1 win. Maybe Vol fans won't like me saying that, but actually I think they'll like me saying that. They won't be mad about more offense. That's what I look for out of them. You had an insane 29-run game during the midweek, kind of more of a mellow game the other day, but Liam Doyle shut things down. Maybe do that and, put another 7-run game in the books for you. So that's the 2 things I look for is offense out of Ethan Petrie and then just the Vols as a whole.
So my main takeaway, if Petrie hits a home run, Alfred and I are going to Vegas. So Kentucky was in that group that you said, right? So that's what I want to see. We touched on it earlier. Just, a team that went to Omaha last season, they haven't really passed the eye test yet, but, they haven't really played a lot of games either. So you're kind of waiting for Kentucky just to kind of explode and have a big game today.
Yeah, and it's cold, breezy, and damp here in the Nashville area, so maybe not a lot of offense in that one again. We'll see where that one goes. Although I think it is a little shorter ballpark, but with balls not carrying, it doesn't carry. Okay, rest of the day we have got at 1:30 Central, Eastern Kentucky, Ole Miss. At 2 Central, Missouri State, Mississippi State, Missouri and Alabama State. At 3 Central, Dayton and Florida. Also NC State and Alabama. 4 Central, Oregon State, Oklahoma. 5 Central, Omaha and LSU, and the nightcap, Arkansas and TCU out in Arlington. Graham, I'll let you go first. What have you got your eye on out of the late afternoon or mid-afternoon and evening set of games here?
Let's start with Mississippi State. What do they look like offensively after 2 lackluster games? Curious to see what that looks like in Starkville. And then these tournaments, you touched on Alabama, so they got a big game with NC State. NC State was top 15, preseason wise. So kind of a slow start to them. This will be by far the biggest test for Alabama this season. And then Oklahoma. You're playing a very good Oregon State team. A lot of people high on Oregon State. They certainly got the history for it. They're playing in Round Rock in this tournament. Want to see what the other Witherspoon twin looks like in that matchup against a very good Oregon State team.
Yeah, for me, I'll go with, one of my beats, as you guys say, Florida, Jake Clemente. Can he continue the pitching momentum Florida's had really all season long? If he could do that, that'd be really special. Mississippi State, I'll copy and paste Graham a little bit. Offense, I mean, you've had 2 back-to-back games against mid-majors with suspect offense up until really 16, 17 innings of suspect offensive baseball. So can you have like a full-length game of just good offense? That'd be really good for that team. And then, Oregon State, just to mention them real quick, they shut down Virginia. I don't know if anyone caught that yesterday. Good. Like they beat them in all facets of the game. Brian O'Connor said that his team got beat in all facets of the game against that Oregon State team. So that would be a pretty good statement win for Oklahoma. Really, both of those games this weekend against Virginia and Oregon State would be statement wins for them. So that's the thing that I'm looking for. I don't know if their pitching guys would be enough to do that, because I think Oregon State has the lineup, to put up runs against Oklahoma. Maybe Oklahoma make me eat my words for saying that, but I think if you can get that lineup going for Oklahoma against these teams, that really gives them a good chance to beat them, and I think it makes that team that much better. So that's really it's kind of the headlining tournament this weekend for us, along with the Arkansas one. But that's what I'm looking for. That's the one I'm going to be watching a ton.
Yeah, to me, I want to see can Arkansas get a little bit more offense going tonight. I think the Oregon State-Oklahoma game might be the headliner of the day. Mm-hmm. Be a great test for Oklahoma's pitching. I think I saw Kendall Rogers talking about Oregon State on Twitter last night, maybe alluding to that might be an elite team. So be interested to see how that one matches up too. We'll be back with more of this. I don't know if we're going to do something tonight. Probably not tonight, because we got our basketball recap, and it won't be in the morning. At least it won't be me. So we might do maybe a Sunday night recap, or at least Monday morning. But we're going to have you covered wall to wall. We've been doing shows 4 mornings a week on SEC baseball. Monday will be power rankings. And we'll be back with all of it. We got you covered wall to wall here on SEC baseball and basketball. Going to try to keep an eye on both of those at once today, which is not going to be easy. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Again, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. And if you want to enable your notifications to know when we put videos out, you can do that as well, but you don't have to. And thank you for the super chats. Thank you for watching. For Alfred, Ezman, and Graham Doty, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Have a great weekend. You've been watching SEC baseball coverage here at Southeastern 16.